Okay, so I'm not sure who should lead. It's kind of both of our ideas to do this, but I guess we'll just plow right in.
Hmm.
So I'm Cleo of GamesR4FITE.
And I'm Storm
Here,
Dain of StormDainProductions.
yeah, and we are going to attempt to do a two-person review of Binding of Isaac. Yay!
Much requested from
So
my end, so I don't know. You did a Let's Play. How did you come across Binding of Isaac?
a lot of people requested it actually,
Oh,
and I saw it all over Steam. It was like Binding of Isaac, and I saw some other Let's Plays. I actually was playing it a little bit just before this call, so I'm very in Binding of Isaac mode right now. Actually, my hand has like no feeling, which is one of the things that I definitely want to address. But so I'm not sure how we want to do this. Like, should we just like throw things out there and respond to them, or
right. I'd like to begin by I mean, did you hear anything about Binding of Isaac before playing? And I guess your initial thoughts, really.
Well, I generally, when I'm planning to Let's Play something, I don't watch other people's Let's Plays because I don't want to have a preformed opinion.
That sounds good.
I saw a very little clip, a couple little clips to see what kind of gameplay it was, and honestly, it's kind of a retro style of gameplay. It's randomly generated dungeons and everything like that, and there's a lot of power-ups and stuff. Now, what's a good thing and also a bad thing is that there's very little explanation in the game for what anything does. It's
Hmm.
very much of a trial and error thing, and unfortunately, like I still had a lot of trouble figuring out what a lot of the power ups did. So I had to look them up eventually, and it was like, oh, that's what his mom's heals do. Okay, I never would have figured that out on my own. And also related to that, the whole random generation thing, I have to say, I am very frustrated by it because I am constantly getting screwed. Like when I was playing it before just now, I ended up in a game where all I got were bombs and keys, never any health. So I had 15 bombs and 22 coins and 5 keys, and I still died because I had a sliver of a heart for about 3 levels. And it was just, it drove me crazy.
Well, it sounds
So
like
I
you
don't
got a
like
lot
that.
further than me with that many items.
Well, it's all about luck. It's all about, it's weird because it seems like even though it's randomly generated, it seems like there's some items that there'll be a lot of and some that there won't be any of.
Hmm.
And it's very frustrating. It's not very balanced, which, I'm sure the detractors are like, "Well, that's what makes it fun and challenging." And I'm just like, "Okay."
Takes lots of people to form this world. My initial, I mean, I got lots of requests for still Tell Storm What to Play 2012, and the title is like Binding. I think I asked you, is this some sort of S&M stuff? And you're like,
It
no.
has some S&M things. No, it's more disturbing, like the abortion what is it called? Hanger like stabbed
Oh,
through his eye. It's a visually disturbing game. It definitely is, even though it's simple. But anyway,
ah,
continue.
coat hangers. It brings the kid out of you. Um,
Oh,
when I went as
wow.
far as actually looking,
Kids don't watch this.
when I went as far as actually looking at a trailer, my honest thought was, oh my god, did King Gordy write this game? And for everybody who doesn't know, look up who King Gordy is. It's going to make a lot of sense. And then when I started it up, and there was a little cutscene of, this is Isaac and his mother who watches Christian television, and it gets as far as saying, the voice from up above said, "Kill it." And I was like, wait a minute, Isaac, I get it now. Like Abraham and his son Isaac. I don't know if anybody else caught on that.
I'm sure everybody else caught on that. Cause yeah, that the whole oh his mom told him to kill or whatever. It makes me think of that clip from Wife Swap where the crazy Christian lady is like they're not Christian. I'm like, I wonder if the guys who made Binding of Isaac used that as kind of inspiration. But God told her to lock him in the basement with like horrible monsters, and it's kind of. Did you ever play any of the Silent Hill games?
I've seen a few. I played about half an hour of the first one. My
Okay.
wife is really into them. But continue with whatever you were going to say
Well,
about
I
them.
was just thinking like it's kind of in the same vein. I think like all these monsters and stuff. The question is, are they really there, or are they something that like Isaac is, hallucinating or whatever? Now, the game doesn't have that much story. It's mostly just, kind of a not platformer, but run through kill stuff kind of game. But I feel like you can draw more away from it if you like every item pretty much has a story
Hmm.
attached to it, usually a horrible bloody disturbing story, which is in the vein of the rest of the game. But I mean, even like the enemies or whatever, like you notice that almost all the enemies are either really sad or like insanely happy. And I'm personally more disturbed by the really happy ones, like the ones that walk and they have like huge grins and they're like red and they'll spawn like 5 of them in a room and they're all just like rah! And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. All the enemies are they look like kind of it reminded me of Doom, like where like or Mass Effect, like human flesh was taken and
Mass Effect. That was a random
well,
jump.
sorry, Mass Effect 3, the
Okay.
ending when
Oh.
you guys play the ending, you'll see what I'm saying here. It's like they took human flesh to construct other monsters, and it was done in kind of a
Oh yeah,
haphazard
I
way.
mean that's been a thing in mythos like Frankenstein and everything for a long time, and I think one of the reasons they keep going back to it is that it's the uncanny valley where it really disturbs people because it's human
Uncanny
but not
Valley.
quite, and it's very disturbing to a lot of people. And it's funny to me that like Silent Hill or whatever, it's like there's mist and everything, and it's like super atmospheric, and then you have Binding of Isaac, and it's just these like little flash animations with like little to no shading and everything, and it still manages to be creepy. And I think it's a combination of like we have enough experience with other monstrous creatures and other media that when we see them on these little flash versions we can like picture them as they would probably look if it was real.
Right. This game is brought to us by in part by Newgrounds, who is most known by Newgrounds, and I think they
Newgrounds
made
is the video version of 4chan, so
Newgrounds. I think they also made Alien Hominoid.
oh,
Any
yeah.
experience with that game?
I've seen it.
I've read
Seen
about it in
clips of
Nintendo
it.
Power.
Because it's like with story, you can either have like none at all, or you can have like way too much. And
Hmm.
that's what a lot of JRPGs and everything have. Is it's like it's not a game; it's a movie with occasional button presses. And Isaac is obviously very much you're in control the whole time. And to understand the story, you have to have your eyes open to what you're encountering and make your own inferences, which are probably wrong. Like in my case, like I'm like, oh, that means that, and then I look it up. It's like, oh, it means this. I'm like, oh, I was totally wrong. Well, whatever. At least it makes you think.
Right, right. I seriously thought that song by Journey, "Wheel in the Sky," was like, oh, the sun passes and that's the wheel in the sky, and you don't know where you're gonna be tomorrow. Look it up. It's actually about Journey traveling on a bus, looking at the reflection of a sun in somebody's wheel.
Okay.
So,
So,
reference to
in
the
regards to
previous
binding,
video.
okay, in small sentences, what did you really like about Binding of Isaac? For me, I liked the range of power ups and the whole replay value, even though it's very frustrating.
Well, I'd agree with you on the power ups. It'd be nice to see a little more organization, but I mean, um, the weapon of Isaac is crying, and like he gets an onion, so he has like double firepower. Now, of
See, I
course.
had bad luck, and I almost never got any of those power
Oh,
ups. I
really?
always got like more bombs or whatever, which are nice, but it sucks when I have like a million bombs and like I die because my weapons is like 1 point of damage on bosses. And but anyway, things I really
Yeah.
like. Things we
I
like.
I got a dead puppy, and that made my crying like bigger, so I had more
Well,
power ups. Now, I thought the power ups were really cool, and as you said before, maybe a
some
little
of
bit of
them
an
are really cool.
explanation would have been nice.
Now, is there anything else you really like, or shall we move on to what we don't like?
I can move into what you don't like.
Okay, I don't like how freaking random the difficulty is that, the whole random generated thing, like I've already mentioned, but I don't like the fact that, the game starts and I get overwhelmed with all this stuff that I don't need because I'm dying because I have half a sliver of health and I can't get any help. And and it's frustrating too because a lot of times there'll be doors with key doors all over the place, and there won't be any keys on anywhere on the level. And it's like, why are you putting that there when I can't do anything about it?
Outside of Binding of Isaac, I hate randomly generated dungeons, and I think it all comes,
Hate.
yeah, it comes back to Dark Cloud, and it's just like maybe if you just made a little more. And I think about it, and it's probably a little bit more difficult on the developer side to make something that's so
Yeah.
random because you can't just have a door that goes into a wall. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess kudos to you, but I don't like it. The game is really short, as I understand. I never even beat it. I can't get
Me
that
either.
far. Oh, okay,
I've
cool.
gotten to the final boss and then died like 5 times. I've only played the game like 10 times.
You are a much better
No,
gamer than
no.
me.
I just don't give up, I guess. I don't know. I
Right,
run around screaming the whole time. I'm like, these guys are, Oh yeah,
right.
I should have probably mentioned the fact that my hand is dead from playing it too. I tried plugging in my Xbox 360 controller, and I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I couldn't get it to work at all. Like I wish that you could fight di or fire diagonally. Like I know you can kind of
That's
use inertia,
yeah.
but it's really difficult to use, and it's stupid having to like get right in front of an enemy to shoot him because I can't shoot.
That's what I wanted to bring up about controls. It's like a dual stick shooter without the sticks. It's like
Yeah.
these buttons. Okay, so yeah, you can use inertia. And that's what I've used before to make these bullets curve, almost like it's Wanted or something like that. The movie that is. When you go into modify controls, it says you can use a controller, and then right under it, like all the menus are just little scribblings, like Isaac has drawn all this little scribbling over here that says use joy to key, and then under it,
Yeah, it's a program.
in even smaller and faded, it says Google it. I'm
I
not sure if a game has ever asked me to Google something. I think we're getting into that area where it's just like
mean, it is
we're
an
done with
indie
manuals.
game, so I give them some
Oh,
allowance for not
that's
having like
fine.
unlimited resources. But it's kind of callous, I feel like. It's like, oh, well, it's not our problem. You have to figure it out. And it's like, why don't you
Right.
just make it so you can aim with the mouse? Like, I think that was Geometry Wars or something like that. That was like a dual stick
That was
shooter
the
that
first
I
one
thought was
I knew
amazing.
of. Yeah,
It
dual
was
stick.
really good the way that they made it so that you could shoot and do. So that was fun. I just blue screened of death. I lost all my recordings, so hopefully Storm got all of it. Maybe after VidCon, I'll actually start getting paid for my videos, and I can hire somebody to find out why my computer is a piece of crap. So anyway, in conclusion, I think Binding of Isaac is definitely a fun game. It's very frustrating, but sometimes it's good to be frustrated because it kind of makes you appreciate the game more. And I know that sounds like I'm grasping at straws, but I do feel like, like I had that video, I don't know if you saw it, where I said, how Demon Souls taught me to enjoy video games again. And basically,
Yeah, watch that.
the lack of option to save scrub means that your consequences, or your actions actually have consequences. So if you jerk off in Binding of Isaac, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose all your stuff, and you're gonna have to restart, and you're gonna lose all that progress. So
Yeah, I agree with you there. The fact that Binding of Isaac is only like 5 or 6 levels was just like, oh, I can do this. Like, I'll give it a try, and it's just
there's more
brutal.
characters you can unlock too. I haven't done any of that either.
Yeah, one of them being I thought was Cain, maybe another Bible reference that we'll avoid here. My total conclusion was like, I guess you got to give it a shot because not a whole lot of games like this. You'll get a
Yeah,
unique
it's an
experience.
experience. It's definitely an experience, and it's super cheap. I think it's only like $10 or $15 normally, and it constantly goes on sale on Steam. So, only thing is controls. Either you have to figure out the joy to key, or you have to get used to your hand cramping up. Because I can't play more than like 10 minutes without my hand going. And don't be afraid to look up the wiki and read up on what items do, because you probably won't be able to figure out what they do on your own. At least if you're anything like me.
And I have an outside link with Binding of Isaac.
My answer is yes, Jim Sterling is a pedophile. Next question.
Set Productions wants to know if Storm Dain's ever going to be on. I can get him on.
We should have Storm on.
Storm's a cool guy. It's
Ooh.
cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it. This video is probably like 20 minutes long now, so maybe we'll try another game review in the future with a more organized approach, and maybe a computer that doesn't facade randomly. That'd be nice. So yeah, if anyone has any recommendations for games you would like to see us dual review, you should let us know in the comments, because I feel like we both like games, but we like different kinds of games. So maybe we would have the interesting. Although we seem to be mostly on the same page with Binding of Isaac, which is kind of funny. We'll find a game that like one of us really likes and one of us really hates, and then we can be like about it. Thanks for watching. I tend to assume people don't understand most jokes, and then when they do get them, I'm like, oh, I guess you do have some brain cells. Good job.
Minecraft much?